Hey neighbor, welcome back to another glorious episode of 7 on Sunday. My name is John, and today we're going to be talking about 7 deep cuts that I truly believe should have been singles. A single release implies that it's getting put on the airwaves, getting played on radio stations, maybe at colleges, maybe it's just a streaming release that gets a music video, something to push it over that mark so that more people know about it and maybe perhaps discover the album as a result of that. Deep cuts can often feel like hidden gems, and that's always a great thing to stumble across. But you can't help but go back and think about the times that maybe the band or artist should have pulled the trigger and said, you know what, I don't care what you think, label, this one needs to go out to the people. For this list to function properly, I decided that the band or artist needed to have some sort of momentum, so I'm sorry, but there's no like super small artists on here, ones that I'm like, oh, well, if they had just released that, then this would have been a huge band. It's more so, hey, this is an established or else rising act, and this song could have been massive for them. Whether you end up agreeing or disagreeing with my picks, I hope that you guys enjoy the video. If you do, then please drop a like on it, subscribe for the love of music, and go ahead and drop a comment down below and let me know what are some deep cuts that you think should have been singles. Stumbling onto the list and striking a pose first at number 7 is STELLA by All Time Low. This is off of their certified gold album Nothing Personal that landed in 2009, and by many it's considered their breakout release. It's one of my favorites from the group, but still, I always felt that STELLA should have been a single. How often do you hear about a hopeless record signee getting radio airplay? All Time Low were doing that, and they're one of the very few that have actually crossed over like that. They had momentum behind their single Damned If I Do You, Damned If I Don't, which was actually charting on the Hot 100, and then of course Lost in Stereo and Weightless becoming fan staples. STELLA, I think, could have been another massive crossover, because at the time of 2009, a lot of songs about drinking and girls, they were all over the radio, but what STELLA did and made it separate itself from the pack is the fact that it wasn't written about a girl, it was actually written about Stella Artois, a brand of beer. The chorus is ridiculously infectious and was made for the dance floor. I could have seen so many people getting into a track like this. In fact, when I showed it to friends back in those days, they always felt that this was a standout track, but unfortunately, it never got that single release, so it still remains a bit underrated in my eyes. Speechless by Lady Gaga clocks in at number 6. This is off of The Fame Monster, which was a companion piece to her debut album, The Fame. This released in 2009 and saw 4 singles of its own from this actual release, including the likes of Alejandro, Telephone, and Dance in the Dark, but sadly, Speechless was not among the 4. At a time when dance, electronic, and club music was really starting to dominate the airwaves, ballads weren't exactly considered cool, but as my friend Adele would tell you, are ballads ever really out of style? No, they're obviously not. I think this song is brilliant. The way she delivers the lyrics here, her voice, the vibrato that I hear behind this song, it has a true backbone. It keeps you on the edge of your seat, and those pianos, the way that they build and build, it hits this crescendo, and it's like every time the chorus rolls around, this song gets bigger, and I do feel that there was plenty of crossover appeal.
Now I go out, but every beat is a violent noise.
The UK-based electronic trio The XX and their track of Violent Noise from the 2017 album I See You make the list next. I always felt that this track was so haunting, so anxiety-inducing. It does a great job as Oliver Sim's vocals just feel very vulnerable, and then Romy Croft coming in and delivering her verse, it's phenomenal. What's even more unsettling about this track is the fact that even though there were a slew of singles from I See You, this actually didn't make the cut somehow. This feels like it could have gained a big momentum, a big push at college radio, and college radio stations are extremely important for indie-based music like this. I know the XX are a larger act, but still, the overall sound here, while it might not be mainstream friendly, were they ever in the first place, I'd argue? Their debut album is very calming, very serene, the sounds are a bit ethereal, and they call back to this once again with a Violent Noise, a track that features these shimmering, building synthesizers, and again, that tantalizing anxiety that you just can't put a price tag on.
You pick me up and take me home again, head out the window again, we're hollow
I swear this wasn't on purpose, but at number 4 we have 400 Lux by LORDE. This is a song, in fact the second song on her album Pure Heroin. This was her debut studio album, and I got so excited when I heard this release because of songs like this. The songwriting here from a very young, less than 16-year-old Ella O'Connor at this time was simply marvelous. It really kind of put a shiver down my spine as I thought about the words that she was putting to tape. One of my favorite lines in LORDE's entire discography thus far is "We're hollow like the bottles that we drink." She talks about contentness, about not really giving a damn about where you're from and just driving down these roads with friends, exploring, opening up, discovering life. And how could this song have not connected to the masses? In fact, she still plays it live, but it wasn't one of the 4 singles from this massive album. I know a lot of LORDE's fans would probably argue with me and say that Ribs should have been the song that I picked, but while I love that song, I think that that one almost deserves to be a bit of a hidden pearl. It's among the fans a massive track, but to the mainstream, maybe they just wouldn't have gotten it. But 400 Lux, that one has the steam power to just keep going and going. I love the wavering production from Joel Little. This song bangs. That chorus is everything. The pre-chorus, everything about this track is a subtle landmine.
So don't tell me what I can't see, 'cause we both know it's you, not me. You don't want it.
7 out of 11 songs from the 2015 album That's the Spirit by Bring Me the Horizon were released as singles, and somehow, alarmingly and painfully not among the pack, was one of the catchiest, most well-done songs, What You Need. Obviously, I don't disagree with some of the single choices that they made. Happy Song, Drown, Avalanche, these are all fantastic selections. But of course, What You Need, this really could have had a run at both British and American rock radio. It's not often that you see a band do this good of a job at capturing lightning in a bottle with the worlds of pop and rock, but this song absolutely has crossover potential. I love Ollie Sykes' voice and the backing vocals from Jordan Fish here. This is such a magnificent, well-done song. I think the verses do a great job with those creeping bass grooves, and they add in even more searing guitar burn. And then that hook, it just throws itself over you like a blanket, and then you throw it up in the air and it explodes.
They say your hood is a pot of gold, and we go crash it when nobody's home. Holly Berry or Hallelujah.
Number 2, Money Trees by Compton rapper Kendrick Lamar featuring Top Dog label mate J-Rock. This is such a magnificent, firing on all cylinders track. Both MCs are in full control here. The verses that they switch off between, and the Silver Soul sample from the dream pop duo Beach House. This is one of the best uses of sampling that I have ever heard, and it remains one of my favorite go-to tracks. It's so chill and smooth, even though we do get some change-ups. Those kicking drum samples in the background that loop are so effective. I think that J-Rock's verse, I know every word to that for good reason. It's so effective. You want to chant along to every song, and of course the infamous "Ya Bish." We all know that there were a lot of great singles from Good Kid, Mad City, but maybe this should have been among them, because it pains me to say that this track goes a bit underrated in his catalog, because I truly feel that this is his best song. Finally, topping our list all the way at number 1 is Vision of Division from the 2005 album First Impressions of Earth by the rock band The Strokes. This has always been one of my favorites from them. This song is glorious, from the guitar solo from Nick Valenci to some of the other rotating rhythm from Albert Hammond Jr. The vocals from Julian Casablancas are incredible. This is one of his god-tier performances, and a lot of people don't even know it exists. How did we let this one slip through the cracks? This absolutely should have been a single. This is something that just sits back and sprouts a flamethrower at you from all directions. That instant riff just draws you in, and then the creeping bass groove, and then the "How long must I wait?" Those vocals feel so urgent, and the guitar solo around 1 minute and 45 seconds in, that will just send you somewhere into space. Your mind has left your body. Look, I like Juicebox and Heart in a Cage as much as the next guy, but how was this song not something that was being sung and adored by the masses? They occasionally play it in concert, and if I'm ever lucky enough to somehow be at one of their shows near the front, you bet your ass I'm gonna be screaming back every single word and air guitaring my ass off. Justice for the deep cuts has been served. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for the love of music. I would love to hear from you guys, so let me know your thoughts on the list along with any others that you might have added in the comments section down below. There's a couple of recent episodes of 7 on Sunday floating on screen now, along with my Patreon if you'd like to help financially support the channel. Anything else you can find linked in the description down below, and I'll see you soon for more right here on ARTV.